Good evening. It's nice to see the house full once again. It's my great honor to welcome a very close, dear friend of mine, my mentor, my guide, and somebody who, in social cause and philanthropy, believes in giving time. And in my mind, time is a lot more valuable than just money. And he's doing some spectacular work in extending the business enterprise into the social. So without waiting any more time, please welcome my dearest friend and the chairman of HCL Enterprise, Shiv Nadar.
Friends and fellow HCLites, good afternoon. Today, after a day full of working business life, I thought I'll take your time off and get to a completely different subjects. This is a subject of Tale of Two Worlds. It's about inequality and the elimination of this. Before I get started with this, I need to tell you something about how India is spread out. India is 28 states, out of which the most populous is adjacent to Delhi. It's called Uttar Pradesh. This is the state in which HCL was born. This is the state in which the earliest computers in the world were built. But other than that, UP has very depressing statistics. If it were a country of its own, it will be the 7th most populous country in the world. It has a population of 190 million. It has been highly depressed in terms of its administration, leading on to a literacy rate of 70% for males and 43% for females. The dropout rates in school are very high. It's 12% at primary school level and 42% at secondary school level. There are 180,000 schools. However, what is there as school is not truly imparting much education. 45% of people, students which are in government schools, cannot read. The system is from the first standard to fifth standard, no one can be detained. So they just go through. There are 15% of the students in the second grade cannot identify letters. So we are going to talk about what is this inequality this will bring about and what is that we can do to eliminate this.
मेरा सपना था कि मैं आईएएस ऑफिसर बनूं। जब मैं गांव में थी तो जो वहाँ के जो टीचर्स थे तो मतलब पढ़ाई भी नहीं होती थी इतनी और खेलकूद भी नहीं थे और ना वहाँ इतनी फैसिलिटीज़ थी। और जब मैं विद्याज्ञान में आई तो विद्याज्ञान में कंप्यूटर लैब, लाइब्रेरी, मैथ्स लैब, लैंग्वेज लैब, म्यूज़िक रूम और स्पोर्ट्स में भी सब सारे गेम्स थे। तो मुझे लगा और टीचर्स भी इतने अच्छे थे और मतलब पढ़ाई भी अच्छी थी, तो मुझे लगा कि मेरा जो सपना है वो साकार हो जाएगा। और जब मेरे पेरेंट्स आए यहाँ और मैंने जब स्कूल टॉप किया तो मेरे पेरेंट्स को भी लगा कि हाँ मतलब जो मेरी बच्ची का सपना है वो पूरा हो सकेगा। मैं आईएएस ऑफिसर बन के दिखाऊंगी।
I hope you followed the English translation, but I have to give some background about this. This girl is from UP. She's from a village. She's 12 years old. Her name is Lakshmi. Lakshmi means goddess of wealth. If there is something that her parents were completely devoid of, it's wealth. She's very poor and was in a village school before she joined the school which we founded from the foundation last year. I want to draw your attention to what she says about May IAS officer Bankar Dikhaungi. What it means is she's almost challenging. I will become an IAS officer. I need to describe to you what is this meaning of IAS officer and what is behind this. When British ruled India, when it was a vast colony, at that time India was starting from Myanmar and going to the border of Afghanistan, 4 time zones. It's about 3,000 miles long as well. Given that size, given 500 dialects, diversity of so many religions and races, the British had to find a way to administer India. After the East India Company left, the very reason why they left was the administration collapsed with a mutiny. They created a service called Indian Civil Service. And they had a department for India, which was headed by a very senior cabinet minister. They initially chose Englishmen out of sheer merit. They were picked on merit and sent to India, and they were given vast powers to rule India. Beginning of the last century, they started recruiting Indians for this work. It attracted the best of people, but since English was a necessary condition, it also restricted the rural Indians to get anywhere near that position. And those positions were filled by brilliant Indians, and they did a very good job. And once India became independent, we had to get on with administering the vast bureaucracy. So India succeeded in having a service. It was called Indian Administrative Service. When she says IAS officer Bankar Dikhaungi, that means I will become an IAS officer and show the world. That's the highest level to which they could really imagine. And an IAS officer means that they have to write the exam, and there are 300,000 people who write this exam. It is a dream job because you get to rule. Meritocracy could lead you on to this. There was hardly any private business to which they could go. Going overseas was not much of an option for them. Given that 300,000 people write this exam every year, and something around 130 people get chosen for the administrative service, and a few of them get selected for the police, a few of them get selected for the foreign service. But India is essentially administered and ruled by the Indian Administrative Service officers. Time went by. Somewhere in the 80s, the IITs took dominance. So there was another area into which you could go by sheer merit. And all these were costing very little money. To go through an IIT for entire 4 years or 5 years as it was at that time took less than $2,000, including tuition, including what their stay was, and books, and all costs put together. There came the next wave of meritocracy when students went to IITs, to the medical services, to engineering colleges, and they flourished into leadership of business, and many of them came overseas to work and created a very large economy. It's $1 trillion economy which has been created by 20 million Indians. But all these only kept increasing the distance between an urban India and rural India. These are the two worlds that we talk of. The girl that you saw, Lakshmi, belonged to rural India. 70% of India is rural. What is the definition of rural? Rural means a place where there are possibly not more than 10,000 people who live. Something which is called like a town in the United States, where a typical likelihood is there will be a government-run school. There won't be a private school. India's population is about 1 billion people, out of which 300 million live below what we call BPL, below poverty line. That means it's less than $1 a day of income. The children didn't go to school. You know, the initial statistics which I showed, which is 43% of male population is, no, that's not 43, 70% of male population is literate and 43% of female population is literate. This is an area in which very large percentage of women did not get past the level of literacy. But the urban India, which grew up in middle class and contributed a lot to India's GDP, 72% of that is living in urban India. That means a town or a city. 70% of rural India only could contribute to 30%. That means abject poverty lives in rural India. I will just show you a clip of how a child's life differs between a city and a village. Now you can figure out where Lakshmi belongs to. One very important factor which differentiates an urban child and a rural child is a mother. In an urban location, the mother actually plays the role of a second teacher. We did considerable research to find this out. So there is re-emphasis of what is taught in the class, which takes place at home. Now, this is what someone like Lakshmi will miss, because her mother will be most likely illiterate and cannot read or write.